The world has reached a tipping point in the struggle for women's equality and empowerment. That was one of the messages delivered at the official commemoration of International Women's Day at the United Nations in New York, which sought to bring the power of Hollywood to the plight of women living in rural areas around the world. Speakers included some of the biggest names from Tinsel Town who are lending their star power to the cause for women's equality and empowerment.
United in the cause for women's emancipation, as the halls of the General Assembly echoed a rallying cry that seeks to bring farm workers and other rural women out of the shadows and into the public consciousness.
What we are about today is bringing everybody in one room. Take Hollywood to the farmland and farmland to Hollywood, because this struggle is universal. Women and girls in rural areas, indigenous women, human rights defenders who have fought and even lost their lives protecting their land need to be supported, but their struggles need to be celebrated and made visible. Rural women must not be invisible.
This activist runs an NGO that seeks to secure economic and social justice for farm worker women and their families.
More than 400 million women work in agriculture worldwide. They plant, pick, and pack the food that we eat. Their work is vital. It gives us life. And while their work is so vital to our lives, their lives are under constant threat. Farm worker women are invisible to most people. And it's this invisibility that makes them vulnerable to exploitation, discrimination, and the violence that is perpetrated against them.
As UN Women seeks to leverage the attention that movements like Me Too and Time's Up have generated through the confessionals of some of Hollywood's most powerful female voices.
We're talking about globally, how can we affect change by creating safer work environments and having the companies we work for and the governments that represent us understand that we are not going away and we're not going to be quiet. We want to see ourselves represented 50-50.
This Black Panther star was asked about the role Hollywood can play in rural communities, prompting this reflection on a time spent researching a play with women victims of Liberia's civil war.
They all wanted to be heard. And secondly, they all, almost entirely all of them, in fact, said to me, no one had ever asked. No one had ever asked them what had happened to them. No one had ever asked what they'd gone through or what they wanted next. And that really got me. And at the time, I was an extremely broke playwright who was there because I'd had done a rent party. And a friend said he'd match whatever I made. And that helped me pay my New York rent and get on that plane. But now I'm in a different position. So I have to go back, and I have to meet those girls again face to face.
The event served as a preface to the start of the 60-second Commission on the Status of Women next week, where the spotlight will also be on the empowerment of rural women in particular. Bryce-Pease, SABC News, New York.